The beginning will be the noisy part.
So you're worried about the...
I'm just saying, that's probably where those stages are equipment.
Because this is probably steep.
And that's what we were talking
Did a
about.
good job
I
sitting
wanted to
nicely.
double check and
Didn't
see
even
what it
hear
looks like on the
you.
bottom.
Thank you.
If we wanted to put kind of...
I only got like 2.5 feet there, but I got a big rock.
They have to go way around.
But what we can do, potentially we'll have to get through the DOT.
They gotta go around. If there's just a regular vehicle, they can just take Riverview. It's the trucks that are gonna have a
Peters
problem.
out.
We'll have a separate meeting with
We
them.
wouldn't be able to do it a foot tall.
But what I'm
We can
saying,
help you with some grade.
what I'm saying,
If it's steep now.
I talked to them today. They're gonna have a separate meeting.
what I'm saying is
Don't
all
even.
you'd have to do is put a high point in here and drain the water this way and drain the water back that way. Because right now, there's only one intake right there.
Well,
The
with
water comes right around there.
I can look into that too, like you said. I'll have to see what it does, the slopes on that
Yep.
sidewalk going
with
down.
ADA grades though, to make it work ADA and acceptable to the DOT.
We're
ADA, they
recording
don't
this
care
meeting.
about if it sits there and ponds all the time. They care if it's flat.
Starting.
Yeah.
Big ice, big ice.
Don't make me rip it out.
I can look at putting a...
Because all the ADA ramps, they don't let you do more than a half
back at
inch
1%.
But if it
drop
ponds,
curve.
Instead of coming
in
around.
front of the curb, in front of the 88, you have to rip it out.
Yeah.
It's just something to look at to help the yard out.
Yeah.
State boys
I'll-
inspecting, what we done right?
Yeah, otherwise my yard will be.
You never done any ADAs at the state boys inspecting?
15 to 20 years.
Yeah, like I'll look, we talked about kind of changing the curve here.
Just something to look at.
So when they did these up here, they were real particular.
So they're moving the storm sewer actually in front of the house is what they're doing.
Yeah, because they're bringing storm sewer from here over to here.
More or less, this is more just to catch it before it comes across here. So,
But you see what I'm saying, if you pick it up a little bit, you still got room here.
yeah, and
I feel
then,
like maybe I saw them at a church picnic.
yeah, pick this up, this will go this way, and this will go that way to
There you
there.
go. That'd take care of the yard. If it works out lunch.
Yeah, I'll have to see how it all works. How it-
So you're redesigning that on your coding?
That's not too
Hey,
bad.
leave him alone. Blacktop should drive like that.
Taking care of you?
But,
Taking care of you?
yeah, he gave you a little bit of discount on blacktop. That's why I said I had to pay blacktop on the back of my house. I said I don't want to pay my.
Thank you. All right, we're recording this meeting, so we should get started.
Okay.
Where's the mayor? You got it put in order?
We're gonna get started with our 7 o'clock meeting. Since we have a few new people here.
What's the difference between the 6 and 7?
6 was if you were an easement person, 7 is anybody. So I'm Lisa Cotter. We have Jake and Cody, who are both from MSA. They're our city engineers who've designed the project. They're gonna explain a little bit about the project and then see if anybody has any questions. Everybody the public and everything, again, we invited people, just some businesses will be affected with traffic. You know, even if you don't live right on the highway, you may be affected just from a travel and transportation perspective, so. Jake will start.
Thank you. Jake Deaver. I work for MSA in Dubuque. Cody Lawler sitting next to me. I'm the project manager on this. Been working in Cascade for 7 years. Cody used to work at Horsefield, and now he designs for us, and he was the main design engineer on the project. First things first, there are 3 clipboards around, one back there, one up here, one over there. Please sign in. Welcome, thank you for coming and making time. As Lisa mentioned, we are going to be in the final planning stages of Reconstruction Johnson Street Southwest from north of the Bard driveway to the alley here south of First Avenue, represented on the 2 large format plots. There's 11 by 17s back there, front and back, that give a little more detail. That's also represented up here as a take-me home. There's a handout that has project highlights with the detour and the project phasing on the back as well. can give you information. A full removal and reconstruction under full closure. Reconstruct side streets, alleys, driveways, sidewalk, ADA curb ramps as necessary to accommodate construction. New storm sewer system, new sanitary sewer main and manholes. We're doing some water system improvements as well. Those are pretty minor. We're having a public input tonight before we finalize the project. We're anticipating a February 2024 bidding, and then construction to be complete by November of 24. Full closure, we anticipate 2 phases. It's on the back of this handout. It shows the 2 phases, the rural section, which is south of 4th Avenue to Bard, and then the urban section will include the 4th Avenue intersection up to the alley here south of 1st Avenue. All services, access will be maintained throughout construction except for paving operations. When they're actively paving or we need cure time on the concrete, we won't have access. You'll have to access via alley or side street. Other than that, access will be maintained either the existing roadway, or as they rip it out, they'll put rock in for access. All services, emergency services, trash, mail, everything will be maintained throughout construction. I think that's about it for introductions. If you have a specific question about your property, Cody and I can go over and look at the large format plots with you. If you have a broader question that might benefit the group, we're happy to answer any questions.
Truck traffic and farm traffic.
Okay. Truck traffic, the marked detour is south of town on E17 over to Scotch Grove up to Monticello.
Okay, well, that's terrible. For farm traffic, for heavy truck,
I mean, farm traffic generally drives wherever they want to drive anyway, right? So,
well, then I guess we'll just follow them if that's how you're gonna
I mean,
talk about it.
the mark-
That seems pretty
Well, right, but we
good.
have to, but
I
you can't say it
know.
like that, because if we say there's no truck traffic,
the
you're
truck
talking
detour-
tractors.
I don't,
I'm whitefront,
you're not losing access.
People can come to you from the south. It stops at Bard. Isn't
okay,
your
so
driveway
how do I come
south?
From the north.
You'll have,
You want me to bring, because in the spring, when you guys are talking about doing this, I have 15 to 20, 25 trucks, semis, that are gonna come to and from, that come off of Highway 151.
So then they'd have to go to Monticello, Scotch Grove, over and up from the south.
Okay, then I won't have any truck drivers that will work for me.
And what's your time frame?
Planting season and, then at harvest. And then
Okay.
during hay season, 2 cuts during that time for hay.
I mean, so generally, I don't know when they're gonna rip it out and get started. We don't know till we have a contractor on board, but a lot of planting might be done by then. And I would think,
By May 1st.
by May,
No, you're gonna probably start right around end of April, beginning of May, right?
yeah, roughly.
That is not, that's in the middle of it.
Okay.
So then you're gonna have planters that are gonna wanna go through. You're gonna have sprayers that are gonna go through. You're gonna have, so, you're gonna, and a lot of these things can only go 35 miles an hour, so you're gonna have them go all the way out to Monticello, Scotch Grove, and come back in.
so just so you understand that the only reason that that's the choice is that the DOT won't let us do any other route.
The only detour that the DOT will let us mark is on paved roads, which is E17 over to Scotch Grove up to Monticello and back on 151.
Okay, well, I also don't wanna piss off a bunch of neighbors either, 'cause- so, but you're gonna, cause it will, I will have, you know, guys that we have that are subcontractors that drive for us, they're not gonna do that, so now that's gonna very much hurt the business. And as for Bard, 90%.
Can they get, how do you access can you get from the backside to them?
Yeah,
Yeah, but we'll have to go on
we built the road
Cannon
up the
and
hill
River. Yeah,
to the backside away from.
Right, so if they're coming from the south, they can take the gravel road.
yeah, south's not a problem, but we have a lot of north.
Right, and that's where we're discussing
How to detour.
A
'Cause
problem.
I don't think Buchanan at the bottom of the hill below Mercy, I don't know that that's gonna hold up to truck traffic, not heavy truck traffic.
No, unless we'll be here.
Not the
next
kind
year.
that you're gonna get and harvest and plant.
Yeah.
But I
And
mean, do
it's
they
not
think those
just
roads
gonna
anyway?
be-
Going in wouldn't be a
It's-
problem, coming out would be a big problem, because you gotta go down to the,
Well, going in, going off, coming off
You gotta
Main
make it
Street
down
onto
to the
Buchanan there,
turn.
I mean,
two.
you've got parking on the one side. So
That's the problem, is there's really no good route.
no, I mean, I know what route we wanna take, but we're gonna ruin a road and piss off neighbors.
Yeah. We don't like it
And
anymore.
I don't
than
think
we-
you'll get semis out of there without having all kinds of damage. If they're coming, if they take your back way out and come up Buchanan,
Well, they gotta
and
turn
they gotta-
left onto
they gotta
Riverview,
turn
right onto
at
Buchanan.
second or third.
Yeah, we were
And then they
looking at
gotta-
doing third and then coming around there. And so we can at least, if we were talking having all of our traffic come out by McDermott, only go in and off 151 that way, because it's a pain even just as it is there, right by Blackheath and stuff, just to have anyone turn left there, so. I guess, and it's not, I mean, it's gonna be more than just us, there's,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Yeah, there's a lot of trucks that go south every day.
So, I mean, your suggestion is we go to Monticello?
I mean, that's
Or
the
what?
marked detour. That's
And the problem that
that's
we
the
have
current
is if
route.
we say people can just go wherever, and then all of our streets are wrecked, or people get stuck, like, that's where we have to have a conversation about, like, if we're posting stuff as no truck traffic, like on Buchanan. But that's exactly what you're talking about, you know, like, it's not built to have semis on it. So it's just wrecked. It's already wrecked. It's just gonna be really wrecked.
Realistically, your drivers will probably go Butterfield, come across, and come back in.
I'm not like super, I mean, yeah, it's gonna suck for us for like our
What happens if you
drivers,
go to Butterfield?
but I mean, like, we've got all those guys and to tell them, no, you have to go all there, they're good.
What is it?
They're gonna tell me go
Come
find
back
something else
in
to drive for you.
136 and that.
So if you take Butterfield, you're saying out west of town, like where Weber's and everybody lives, right? And then what happens when you get south of there? Where do you come back on 136?
Come back in right by
Hushes, up on top of
Hushes,
the,
top of the hill.
Evie's Mill, I think is.
Yeah, I've never driven that way.
That's fine with Danny,
Make
right
a
up
big
until
deal.
it's wet spring.
Very
Oh, yeah,
unfair.
you ran the county roads, I guess that's all right, yeah, it's county.
We're not saying that, but we can't control people. Like, we could go to the only way we're gonna do it is if we would go to the county and say, now post that. Like, we don't have control over the county roads, but we do have to try to protect our roads. And it does stink that it's so far away. There's just like no good close route. But it would seem, because that's the thing too, is that they won't let you post a gravel road as a detour.
What do you think that detour measures?
Have you measured what the distance out
I
of
don't
the way
remember
is?
what the miles, I mean, that's the shortest one there is. I mean, it was reviewed by DOT field.
Probably 20 miles. At least. Or if you had, it's 12 to Monticello.
38, all the way down Scottish Grove,
Yeah.
take a left. Then come back.
I mean, I understand it's way out of the way. There's nothing we can do, because the DOT's not gonna mark a detour that's not
Why can't
paved,
you have one-way traffic?
because it's only 24 foot wide. We don't have room to accommodate one-way traffic.
But they did it laid out when they did 136.
When they did the milling,
Yeah.
well, that, I mean, that's just a surface treatment. That wasn't a full reconstruction with the closure.
It's just a short time. It's not like a 6-month project where we're redoing pipes and stuff. It's just a much,
Yeah, I mean, especially on this urban section, everything's gonna get blown up because we're replacing all utilities, all the storm sewer. I mean, it's all old stuff that needs replaced. I mean, it's a little bit simpler when you're just throwing a Band-Aid on top, which is, I mean, that's what they did, 6 years ago when they seal coated it. And I mean, this is a full reconstruction to replace a 60-year-old road.
It's what you did north of town, or from the intersection up to the high school.
It's a similar project, similar funding, similar scope. It wasn't us, but
It's just less disruptive, because when you were from the north, you could just go out to the old Highway 151 and come back
Do
in.
you still have one-way traffic when you did that?
that was full closure, wasn't it?
That was full closure.
No, there was flaggers. There was
That wasn't our project, I don't.
I know there was flaggers, because we could hear them on our two ways, we listened to them all day.
We paved it full width, I believe.
That was
So it was full closure. He was the project manager for Horsfield who did it, so he knows.
Don't yell.
You can come in, sir, if you want.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, cause that had really deep sanitary and everything on it.
Yeah.
But maybe the Butterfield is an answer.
For
Do your
trucks.
truck drivers care if they're on the gravel?
When we haul a full load, they dump it out.
Yeah.
Say what, I mean, in the fall, you're gonna have, what are you gonna do with all the guys hauling corn, all the grain? Yeah.
We'll go around or find an alternate route. I mean, I don't know what we can do. It's gotta be closed to fix it. I don't know what the answer is, but
How many months are we talking on this?
7.
We don't have a construction schedule. We're bidding in February. It'll probably be under contract by May 1. They might start by May 1, and they'll be done by November. So May, June, July, August, September, October, 5 or 6 months. I mean, it's a massive project in an urban section that's gonna go slow.
But everybody will have access to their alleys.
Everyone will be maintained access by side streets or alleys, and generally on the corridor, if you're there, you can get in and out.
Yeah, I only have one access to my garage, the backside of my house in the alley.
Okay, I mean, you'll be maintained access.
not during paving.
Unless they're paving like right in
This
front of
is
your,
a dead end alley. The one,
Backside of the
same
park.
as Leo was talking about. When it's paved, you won't have access.
you're at the end, you're next to Leo,
Up.
Well, I'm up the street, up the road.
He's in that alley.
at the end of here.
He's up here and this is dead ended.
Okay. And your house faces Third? Okay. So you will have access in and out of that alley unless they're paving. If they're paving and we have wet concrete or green concrete and it needs cure time,
Yeah.
other than that, stuff will generally be graded and there'll be rock, or you can use existing pavement. Unless it's actively being removed, which obviously you won't have access for a few hours when stuff is being removed. Other than that, they'll either be existing surface or temporary surface you can get in and out. It's gonna be closed, you might have to drive around barricades, but you can get in and out. It's the same, I mean, it was handled the same way on Garfield. And I don't know if you drove by when we did Garfield Street,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's the same
I
way.
guess I'm just asking because we have the apartments down there and there's no parking on the one side of the street on Third. So all of a sudden, where do you start shoving all these people if they don't have access? But you got access, so.
I mean, other than removing that pavement, when we're going through there for a few hours, people will have access.
Yeah, you're doing that when I'm at work and everybody else is, or generally.
Yeah. Yep. And we have it in there that the contractor's gotta give you notice, so, I mean, you're not gonna be surprised. You'll be, I mean, you're gonna see it's happening, so.
But you're doing sewer, water, the whole shooting match, everything.
Yep. It's old 4-inch that breaks up underneath the highway, and we're abandoning that in place and doing a new 8-inch loop across Second. All the sewer and manholes are being replaced, so all that'll be new, and then all the storms being replaced too, so.
Any other questions? Once we, go ahead.
Who's gonna take charge of calling the state, asking that question?
We'll reach out to them. I mean, it's been through their design concept, and so they'll have all the documentation on how we decided on 3-lane stuff. So we'll reach out to them and see what they say.
Is there gonna be follow-up back to the residents, or just, it's gonna be what it's gonna be?
I'll let Lisa
You're gonna
address
have it
that.
on council and
Well, yeah, it's
depends what
slated
they say.
for January for the council to make final approvals. But yeah, we can let people know.
What date is that, you know?
The 8th and the 22nd are the meetings in January. But again, we're gonna ask them, but I don't want people to think that because we go and say that the people there, that there may be a drastic shift. I don't want you to get, I just don't think that's likely. That's all I'm saying. We will ask though.
Teresa, you could check with Jones County and see if they'd have any problem with using that, because I mean, the truck traffic on Butterfield and Edie's Mill is ungodly anyway, and they haven't stopped that. That'd be something to check with.
I think you're gonna see a lot of people wanting to use your road,
But I can't use the town road, right?
down to, I'm saying people coming in.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying that, you guys, so do I have to police that? Because you guys are gonna not let me use the.
Is it the same as the clinic, like people try to go through
It would be
there?
the same
It'll be the
situation.
same as.
So
the
we were
clinic.
gonna basically, like, we talked to the clinic, and we can do the same at your place, like, have signs on both ends that say, like, no through traffic. Doesn't mean people will stop, and we can try to police people doing that. And we'll try to at least put up signs. It's just local people it's like, they all go through the clinic right now. It's ridiculous. People don't wanna drive. I mean, I get the 20 miles is a big deal, but.
But there'll be a lot of people, not saying truck traffic, I just think there'll be a lot of people go down Buchanan, get on Riverview, and go to your road and up through your parking
Yeah,
lot now.
so here's my question, let's say that I've got just, you guys post signs for me, somebody drives through, I've got a semi coming around that red shed that we got down there, and they run right into us.
They're on a private road.
They're on
What the hell
private
are they doing
driveway.
there?
If it's posted, I would think.
You never know what insurance companies are gonna do, but, I mean, it's not a public road, it's a private, I know which road, it's the one we built up the hill, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's a private road, they shouldn't be there. It'll be, I mean, we can add signage in here to post it, it's private road, not through or something like that, I don't know what the MUTDC sign is, but.
We'll definitely add those to the signs.
Because I'm sure they're gonna wanna do the same thing, they're gonna wanna drive through the Mersing parking lot and come down and get on Buchanan, but it's not a public road, it's not through, so.
And we may have to bring in, especially in the beginning when they get shut down, like bring in some extra officers and just try to patrol it so the word gets out that people will be cited.
Not a shortcut.
Getting their kids to school, living in those houses out of
I-
town will probably be the ones cutting through.
Right. And they're gonna have to have an early bird alarm. Any other questions? You're
Well,
welcome.
I guess I got, more so, I'm just looking at this here, there's really only 2 driveways, mine and JD's,
Correct.
okay? Now granted, we both have access out, but, we use that 99% of the time. So in regards to the, for when they're coming in,
Which property are you?
Darren Matter.
He's right next to
I'm
the
right
gas
next to the
station.
gas station.
Okay, gotcha, yep.
Yeah.
So we're just doing your approach. We're not doing anything behind sidewalk.
No, I understand that, but I'm
Okay.
just saying, so like when people are coming in,
What do you mean by in?
I mean, I'm just like how the traffic's gonna be directed, if they're going to Blackies or when they're gonna be coming into the center, that center lane is gonna be,
Crazy.
it is gonna be crazy.
You're not gonna like it.
It's,
It's not safe.
especially because I'm the very first one, and that's, if you look, if that's that angle, and they're coming in off of First Avenue, the very first thing we're gonna do past Blackie's is move 5 or 10 feet over close to, you know, when they're coming in, when we're pulling in and out. I just think it's gonna be, that is my only concern about the whole thing. It really is. You know, do we go through Blackie's all the time now, or, I don't know. You're just pushing the semis and everything right up against the curb. You know, now you're pushing closer to the curb, and when, like I said before, if there was a traffic study, when they were coming past Blackie's, the very first thing they do, they merge to the center of the highway to get away from the sidewalks. Now, when they're coming, you're pushing them to the sidewalk. And for like us getting in and out, I think it's gonna be more of a cluster, to be honest with you. And who, you know, with them lines, and if some of the kids get hit, or I get hit, or somebody else gets sideswiped because of it, who's at fault? Is this all gonna be, have to be, you know, officially down through the city and through the police? I mean,
Well, it's an
when we back out.
It's an approved
So if we
engineered
back
road.
out, let's say I was backing out of my driveway, and I'm gonna pull the center lane, okay?
Why would you pull to the center lane?
Well, what am I gonna do? Do I back all the way through the center and go all the way over to the other side?
Which way are you turning?
That's what they
It's
want
going out
you
to
to
the
do.
intersection.
Either way, or, you know, if I'm gonna go and wanna go towards the intersection, and I'm backing out like we always do, do I have to come all the way across and all the way over to the other side?
What do you do now?
No, I don't.
What do you do now?
Now I back out and stay to the close, to the center of the road. So now if somebody's coming in and wants, if I'm backing out, somebody's coming in and wants to turn,
Make it over.
which it's, I don't know. My only concern is that center line. I understand you guys you need access to the lawns and to the sidewalks and replace all of that, but if that's the DOT's recommendation, I think it's a poor recommendation. If they look at the safety part of it, moving traffic closer to the residents and to the kids playing, and the kids walking on the sidewalks.
There's so many kids over on the apartment side.
They're coming constantly up from the apartments, constantly coming up from the playground. So you're taking the traffic and putting it another lane right next to the curb. When normally, if you look at the traffic study, when they come, the very first thing they do is they merge closer to the center of the lane. So you have that space.
I don't know,
So-
I've never driven in that right hand lane.
But I guess that's just the risk that the DOT's gotta take, and the very first time somebody gets hit, waxed, or whatever. And that's, you know, it's too bad.
Well, let me ask this.
So, I shouldn't say it's too bad, but
If it, the road would be narrowed, right?
Correct.
And the sidewalk would still be next to the street. It wouldn't be
No,
back
the
8 feet off the
sidewalk,
road,
the sidewalk would still be back up against the right of way.
back against
You'd
it.
have a bigger terrace.
We don't have curbside walk now. There's a terrace between back of curb and sidewalk.
Sidewalks will stay where they are. Right
So
away,
you would gain,
bigger terrace. Place to push snow.
Why is the state doing that? Just because of the amount of traffic, or is this?
I mean, they didn't do a traffic study. I'm sure they looked at their traffic numbers and agreed with the 3-lane section. It's currently too narrow for a 4-lane section, as it doesn't really function as a 4-lane section now, correct? So, I mean,
Well, it has been for 60 years.
But people don't
but
drive
they don't
too south
drive-
and
they
too
don't use
north.
the outside lane.
No.
It's
There's not enough
steep,
traffic.
and it does this at every,
so like, for instance, like right now, when I back out, you know, you got 4 lanes. And I tell my kids when they back out, always look, even if there's not a car coming, because they're blasting down. I don't care if the speed limit's 10 miles an hour. They're coming down from Bard, and they're coming in, and we're backing out. They're gonna hug the inside. And I've got I mean, it's just, you gotta make sure you're there, whether you're backing out or not. And you can't see them, and they're not gonna stop. So what is gonna be the right of way when we're backing out of the driveway? I mean, or when they're blasted in and we're backing out and they're gonna come in and go to the.
I don't know what the
center lane and
recommendation
blast.
is, but to me, if I lived there, you wouldn't be backing out into the highway. You'd figure out a way to turn
That's
around.
not the- When you're pulling in, what are you gonna do? When you're pulling in, you're gonna stop back into your driveway so you can drive up like that?
I don't know.
That's just the way it is. You're backing out into the highway. What else are you gonna do?
I mean, that's what,
And then my renters, you know, it's a drive-through, but of course you're gonna back out into the highway. There's no other choice, or else you're gonna stop on the highway and then you gotta back into your house every
Right,
single time.
but if there was a
And then that's
bigger,
even more.
if there was a wider highway people would have to back into their out into the highway and only go southbound. Even though that's a pain.
And
That's,
even when we're pulling in, we get honked at and hollered at and get flipped off, because I tell the kids, hug that center line. Because if you don't get over right away, they're
You're
gonna
saying if
come
they're
right in
north-
on the inside around you, or they're gonna go around the outside. So just hug that center line so they can't do either.
you're saying if they're in the northbound,
Both. Or, yeah, if they're heading, well.
they're not
right
hugging the
south.
center if they're
They're
going
heading
south.
I just tell them to stay right in the center. Because, you know, if you don't, you put your blinker on, they're still gonna, when they turn behind you, they're gonna try to come in on the inside or the outside.
Well, yeah, if you give them too much room, they're gonna try to go around you and you're getting
Either way.
T-boned, yeah.
Either way. And that's the only two driveways on there, mine and JD's.
Okay.
When you guys did this, is this the only kind of language that you presented to the state, or did they come back with this?
I know we talked about 4-lane. I know we talked, this was years ago, I know the city at that time wasn't interested in putting back 4-lane. I think the DOT said there wasn't room for it anyway, and we ended up at 3-lane. There was never discussion of going to 2-lane. We can reach back out to them. With Lisa's direction, we can reach back out to them and see what they say. I'm not sure that they're gonna allow that to go to 2-lane in their right of way, because it's their road.
Is it gonna be like 151, where the middle lane's the widest and the side lanes are the narrowest, which to me don't make sense?
Yeah, they requested 14-foot turn lane in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
middle and 12-foot
Yeah, then they
drive
got
lane.
the narrow lane to drive in. What's the deal on that?
Probably because you're having two directions, right? Like people can come in both directions to the middle.
You still can't go by each other.
No, I know, but you're
That's
coming
a
in both ways.
I mean, it's
DOT thing again.
Be better off with wider lanes.
Understood.
I mean, if they do that there, they will be plugging the curb then. If they make it the same way.
It'll be similar to 151 after it was restriped,
Yeah, I guess I don't.
First
understand why
Avenue,
they
what am I
have a
calling it?
wide lane
51?
missing.
because that's the design standard.
on
DOT
First Avenue.
says, okay, it's gonna be,
The narrow lanes are all the traffic.
Well, that's what it was.
Main Street. People are calling it 151. I'm like, that's
She
not
was
one.
asking if it was Main
It's
Street.
First Avenue. It's not
So
Main
like
Street
the
or
First
151. First Avenue.
For an example, if I was heading east and I was gonna pull into the dentist office, is the traffic behind legally, does the traffic has to stop? Or is it illegal to go into the center and go around them and back?
it's not a passing lane.
It's not a pass, good, that's what I thought. So-
It's only a turning
so then
lane.
That's gonna be, so like if we're backing out of the driveway, they've gotta stop. Whether JD's backing out, they've got to stop, or that they cannot go around them or, you know, move over and pass.
Good luck
Or,
stopping
or
them.
if we're slowing down,
They have
they've
right
gotta
of way,
stop.
though. That's the problem.
Like if I'm pulling into my driveway.
Well, you also
they've
can't
gotta
pull out in
stop.
front of cars.
Well, I'm not saying you're gonna pull out in front of cars, but
Backing out.
like if I'm gonna pull into my driveway, they cannot go around me.
Oh, pulling in when you're on the
I'm
highway?
pulling into the driveway, they cannot pull, they cannot, they cannot.
Yeah, there was a
They
big
have to-
discussion. Wasn't this a big discussion because they're not,
It's not a passing lane.
and it's a solid line.
Yeah.
So you should only be getting over if you're gonna turn, right?
So,
It's gonna suck.
so if there's an issue, if it's not safe, I mean, then file a complaint and have enforcement deal with it.
That's all I'm saying. I don't think it is safe, but you know what I'm getting at, right? I mean, look at right here, the very first marking is you're taking them and you're sending them right closer to the house and then down.
Yeah.
To where before they were coming here and moving over, away from the house. Now you're pushing them in. So what I'm saying, like if I'm backing out of my driveway, which is right here, if I'm backing out,
To
or if
head,
I'm pulling in, all that traffic is gonna stop,
they're supposed to.
no matter what. Okay?
I'm not,
Or when I'm backing out, no one can be turning in here, they better be all stopping to back out.
Or
Or
you-
now there's an option.
or you don't back out and head north, you back out and head south and turn left.
What I'm getting is, I can go right or left or whatever, back north or south, that's not the point. But
Okay.
there's times where there won't even be a car coming, and I'm backing out, or I tell the kids to back out, and there's cars rifling in, you know, over the speed limit, whatever. And you better be in that center lane, because they're barreling right up on the inside around you.
Okay.
I'm just saying, there's gonna be some grief.
I feel like there, like I can think of other towns that have highways, and people do, when they have driveways like yours, create spaces that they do turn around in their driveway, so they are not
That's
backing
not the
up.
point, that's not, I'm making spaces, now you're making us make space in our driveway. Tell you what, if you pave my entire front to the right and make a turnaround even more than what it is, perfect. And I'll just tell everybody that you can only drive in, but you cannot back out.
I'm just saying.
Well,
Then that's fine with me.
part of the consideration for.
You don't really have an option. You really don't have an option.
For a four
Or you have an
lane,
option, but
though.
you, I mean, it's like we bought the house. I mean, okay, you gotta buy this house, but you can't back out of the driveway.
I don't think
And
anyone's
you back
saying
it
you
when you
can't.
leave.
I'm not saying that, but if,
I know that,
but it's
but-
safer.
Sure, it's safer, but it's also safer than, it's awful, this is not safe as far as I'm concerned.
It isn't safe.
So, you know, you talk about safety, that's not safe.
Well,
When
the
you push a
the
vehicle-
existing four lane ain't
You push a
exactly
vehicle that
safe.
closer to your house, that's not safe.
Especially when my house has been hit already.
So, that's my only concern.
But the existing four lane isn't exactly safe either, because like you said,
They have the option to move in or out.
well, yeah, but then they just zip around you and they cross center line. I mean, you can't control what the traveling public does. Unless
But when
they're
they're,
heavily
it's
enforced.
legal to cross the dotted white line.
Correct.
It's not legal to cross the
But you're,
yellow
but you,
line.
but right, when you're turning into your driveway, you try to take up both lanes so that people don't go zipping around you and don't try to come
Absolutely.
inside you.
Yeah.
I mean, that was,
Yeah.
that was
That's
the
legal.
consideration both for here
That's
and then
legal.
when we striped it here, is because people would be in one of the lanes trying to turn, and then people would try to zip either on the inside or the outside. And that's what makes a four lane less safe than a three lane section. Is because it's not clear, it's not clearly delineated. Whereas you get into a three lane section, the middle lane is a turn lane, it's not a passing lane. So you stop for people. And so you don't have someone stopped in the right lane for a kid to cross the street and someone goes zipping by them on the left lane and doesn't see the kid crossing the street. I mean, that's why a three lane is inherently safer than a four.
Well, I've lived there for 12 years and I haven't seen an accident on 136 yet.
I mean, the safety statistics are, a four lane is inherently less safe than a three lane.
This isn't a real four lane. You can call it a four lane, but it is not a four lane. Nobody drives four deep on that road.
That's why I want to just keep it the way it is.
I understand, but when you say it's
Well,
just not a
it's
real
marked
four.
as a 4-lane.
Right.
Basically, anytime you back out onto a highway, you get hit, it's your fault, because you're not supposed to back onto a highway.
So let's just say the state wants to keep this the way it is.
Then why put a driveway on there? If it's illegal.
I know.
Is there any way we
You
can
shouldn't
just
have allowed it in the first
keep
place.
it 2-lane
Yep.
till we get to this point?
Legally, you can't back
So it's
out
not
onto
right next to
state
my
highway.
house? I mean, literally, I'm not even 10 foot off the damn highway.
I understand your house is close.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there. Is there any way we can just keep 2-lane and then go 3?
We can reach out, I mean, the city direction, we can reach out to the DOT.
I'm just concerned about the proximity to the, I'm sorry for being selfish, I guess, but. Is it ultimately the state's decision, or is it the city's?
It's the state's right of
State's
way,
highway.
It's the state's highway. The state
We-
is paying for the pavement. The state is paying for the sidewalk. Yeah.
I mean, it's just always that way.
Yeah.
Everything we do, if we want to like put up a detour sign, if we want to close the road, if we want to, we can do whatever we want on First Avenue now because it's not the state, and anything you want to do on 136, like, look out if you try to do anything without their permission.
But you can recommend it, and they might follow what you recommend. Might.
They're not gonna care about the city's recommendation.
Just why I said, like, it's no disrespect to the residents, but they're not going to change a project because 12 houses feel like it's less safe, because they look at it like the standards that are all based on studies, you know, I mean, it's just,
They're worried about, yeah, I mean, they have design standards and they're worried about the traveling public.
and you know what happened, like, a lot of times when you have state highways, when you're talking about these driveways, like, most state highways, and these are obviously old driveways, but you have to get permission to have a driveway on a state highway for that exact reason. Like, they don't just let you put driveways wherever you want, because it's not safe. And if you look how many times are there frontage roads and everything else, because they don't want you just pulling out onto highways.
So let me ask you this, can you, the city, set the speed limit from?
Nope.
We can't.
But we'll certainly ask. I mean, if there's a place where it makes more sense to lower it, we can put in that request. When I worked in Eldridge, they didn't care. The city council petitioned them to change it, sorry, doesn't meet our standards. Just because you want it to be slower, you feel safer, your residents asked, these are our guidelines. Like, this is what means 35 and 25 and 45, and then in another case, they did. Like, when you get off on Leclerc Road, you know, in Eldridge, like when you go to the east, to the left, they let us lower it there. But it is their decision. You can ask, and if it makes sense, they'll do it. So we'll, before the next council meeting, we'll reach out to them and see what their thoughts are. Say we had this meeting and people are concerned.
I guess that's all we can ask for now.
But we'll ask. Doesn't hurt to ask. Any other questions?
100% effort, Lisa.
I got you.
Gotcha.
I'm good. I got lots of money.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay. Huh?
No. Two lane, at least past my house. Then they go through.
I mean,
No, we tried that.
that's gonna make this harder.
Same.
I don't want my kids riding the bike there.
I understand.
With a light line when
Right.
everybody's